I truly believe that life gives you three whispers before they become loud noises in your head. Okay, which actually then pushes you to make that decision. I didn't have the time or the resources to go to different places or get information. So I was like, if increasingly 60% of people are going to spend their waking up time in front of a digital device, why am I not communicating through that medium? We want to empower parents to make informed choices. Because I just feel when you have empowered parents, you have empowered children. So I think it's very important that when you are trying to keep pace, make sure that you are not trying to keep pace for yourself as a founder. Keep pace for your customer, right? So just because, oh my God, Shan has got 200 million followers or 200 followers, I need to do the same. But Shan is catering to a different audience.
Mansi, thank you for being here today. This has been a long time coming. I think both of us have known each other for so many years. I don't know why we've not done this before. And very excited to be chatting with you live.
Yes, Shan, I am, when they were actually introducing Shan, I was like, oh my God, she does so many things. And I've told her this like a zillion times. I can barely manage three kids, which I call, which is two of my own and one is Kidsstoppress, and I don't know, she has a million babies. So I don't know how you do it, Shan. How many people agree that would actually want this conversation to spill and say, how does Shan do it?
Not me.
Like, come on, guys, show of hands for how does Shan do it?
So I have an answer for that. It's ready. Many people ask this. My answer for that is because I don't have a husband and kids to go back to. So all time and every minute is my time, and whatever I want to do with that time. So maybe soon I won't have that much time anymore.
We're sensing something.
So very excited to have you. Back to you. Very excited to have you and to chat about all things business, baby business. And I know everyone says, this is a common thing, especially with my friends who have kids. I've seen this, that, whenever they become a mom, they get into the baby business. Haven't you noticed this? When people become parents, it's like, hey, now I know everything about the baby business. Let me get into it. So I think that you actually started very early on. You started as one of the first people in this industry. And I'll tell you a short story. I was sitting with Mansi at a dinner, I don't know if you remember, very long ago, in some godforsaken place in a lane in Colaba. Someone had invited us, I think it was the Swiss consulate or something. And that time we were just Swedish, yeah. So we're getting to know each other, and the conversation went to all things business and all things and one thing that I really took away from that conversation and changed the way I do business was focus on one thing. And I think Mansi has done that so brilliantly. Times have changed. People have grown up. Their kids have grown up. Events have come and gone. Every day, like I say in India, there's something new spurting up. But she's never changed her focus and the idea of doing things for this industry, and has always stayed the same. And kudos to you, because people do lose track. Yeah. And I think that's something I took away. Let's start the conversation by asking you, what inspired you to start this? And what do you see as the mission of Kidsstoppress?
So what inspired me, and and I'll make this as easy for each one of you who's starting out or thinking of starting out or is already doing something. I truly believe that, or when you're on the fence sometimes, right, of making any sort of decision, I truly believe that life gives you three whispers before they become loud noises in your head. Okay, which actually then pushes you to make that decision. I've always been a marketing communication person. I started my journey with O&M, then moved on to the Tata Group, then moved on to heading brand and communication for French Connection in India. When I had my first child, I was very sure that I wanted to do something in the digital space, but I wanted to continue to work because I didn't want to blame my child for the rest of her life that I quit because of you. It was my decision to have the baby. It was my decision to continue to work. So that is one. Second is the three whispers that happened to me. One was my office was at Metro and I would drive down to Worli, take a taxi, and I would think that I'm on my BlackBerry. I have rendered, okay, that gives out my age. So, I was on the BlackBerry. So I have already rendered two mediums, which is reading and outdoors redundant, right? So I'm like, there has to be. So that was the first whisper which told me, boss, kuch karna hai to digital mein karna hai. You have to get your audience on this phone, right? So that was the first sound. The second one was that because I was a full-time working mom, every place that I went, I didn't have the time or the resources to go to different places or get information. So I was like, how, if increasingly 60% of people are going to spend their waking up time in front of a digital device, why am I not communicating in that, through that medium? So that was the second one. And third one was, any corporates here, I'm assuming no, but I truly believe that the titles and the designations keep changing. You continue to do the same bullshit. I wasn't ready to do that bullshit anymore. So that was my third whisper. So I took a backpacking trip to the US with my then 2.5-year-old. And I realized every city I went to that you could figure out everything that you wanted to do then in a span of a few seconds through the internet. So I was like, this is what I want to do. Mission is very clear. We want to empower parents to make informed choices. It's because I just feel when you have empowered parents, you have empowered children.
Absolutely agree. Okay, so that's brilliant. I want to ask you, and this is maybe a bit of a selfish question. I'm going through this currently in my life. Not that I have kids, but I think it's something that happens at every stage. How do you manage running a business, and how do you manage also your personal life? How do you manage the everyday? It is so tough. Today I was really feeling burnt out, but you have to show up as your best self. And genuinely, I know it seems like a very simple question. Does anyone else face this here? I'm sure a lot of you are running your own business. Burnout is real. And if anyone has tips, maybe you can share it with me later. But Mansi, let's hear from you. How do you manage both? And especially when you have 2 kids, a family to run a home.
So 3 things. Again, I think 3 is a lucky number. But 3 things. One is, I keep saying this to myself. Everything in life is a choice, right? Again, I don't know how many of you all have heard this, but Randy Zuckerberg, who's Mark Zuckerberg's wife, said, out of these 5, you'll be able to do any 3. Family, friends, work, health, sleep. I would put health and sleep together and maybe say entertainment these days because people watch a lot of Netflix or whatever else. You can prioritize only 3. So make your top 3 choices. I've made mine, which is health, work, family. I'm giving up on the other 2 because you can have it all, just not all at the same time. So yes, I mean, ask Shan and everybody who's ever invited me for an event, you will not see me after 8:30 p.m. because that's a choice I make. And I'm okay with the consequences of those choices. I may not be seen at A, B, C, D, but that's okay. That's my choice. Because for me to show up at the gym at 5 a.m. is far more important. To put my kids to bed is far more important. To read a book that helps me grow my business is far more important than being seen at a place which is transient, right? Like which is with time, these things fade away. But what really stays, and like we talked about, longevity of who you are is going to be defined by those choices. So ask me, there's balance. Every day is a seesaw. Yeah. So today I have done 100 other things and swung by here, and in between, you know, like my sister's come with me and she said, are you prepped for your talk? But I was just making sure that I'm here in time after my kids have come home to say hi to them. They wanted to try something, and, you know, all of that in between. And then again, you know, just found my zen somewhere in the car or wherever, and I'm ready for this, right? So it's a choice. So whatever choices you make, just make sure that you're making those choices for yourself. And there's no balance, Shan. There's never balance.
I think what you said initially is also something I'm starting to do, is learning to say no. Yeah, that's been one of my changes. A lot of people nodding. How are we all learning to say no?
And you know, to add that, I'll just give each one of you all one actionable thing. If somebody asks you, and I want with a show of hands, if somebody asks you, hey, and you're working on a deadline, hey, let's catch up next week or like in the first week of June for lunch. And, you know, you are really on a tight rope, but you have nothing scheduled for that first week. How many of you guys are likely to say yes? Yeah, we'll all probably say yes, right? So 3 questions to ask before you commit. Is this serving the long-term goal that I have for myself in the next 1 quarter that I'm working with? Is this the best use of my time at that point in time? If it's not urgent, just because the time slot is free, don't fill it up. And that's coming to the third point, learn to say no to what does not serve you at that given point in time. But obviously that does not mean that you're rude and you neglect friends and people and whatever else, or friends who may need help and who showed up for you. Of course you do it for them, but just because that slot is vacant, don't give it away.
Yeah. Very true. I used to do that, and that's a change I'm making. So thanks for that. Okay, so Kidsstoppress has been around for over a decade now, and the parenting landscape has obviously evolved and changed. And how have you responded to those changes as a company? Because this is something I go through a lot. When I started, to be very honest, when I started networking, now we were one of very few. When we look around today, there are lots, and I'm sure a lot of you feel that. Do you guys feel that when you started, there was just one or two other companies doing this, and today there's a lot of others? So, or if I see this a lot in interior designers, for example, there are many. There are every nook and corner there's an interior designer architect. So, how do you kind of, for your business, evolve to the changes, and do you adapt to the changes, or do you just keep following your path? And how has the parenting landscape changed?
Right. So another very important thing before I address the parenting landscape is I understood very early on that when I started Kidsstoppress that my kids are not going to be young always. And I have chosen this path for myself. My kids haven't. So they're not a party to my business. They're not part of the business, right? So today you will see a lot of kids being involved in the whole parenting landscape in terms of people you follow on social, etc. For me, it was a conscious choice that this is not their choice, right? So from very early on, I disconnected myself from the brand and I kept two separate identities. My brand was never Mansi Zaveri. It's a default to Kidsstoppress, but it's a separate brand. So if you're at an early stage where you would like to, like Shan is not Shan is networking now. Right? So she has two separate brands. So if you are early on in your stage where you want to make that separation, do that, because you may not, and as founders as well, you will go through that process of an evolution of a human being, right? What I was as a mother 14 years ago when I started to who I am today is a very different journey. So it's very important to know that if you are going through the journey, I'm sure, Shan, your first event is not what it is today, right? So for each one of us, make sure that you, one, disconnect, second, understand that you will evolve as a person, so will your brand also evolve like that? And number three, I think the parenting landscape has changed so much so that, of course, there are lots of new products, services, whatever, but the only way to stay ahead of the game is to not try and stay ahead of the game, okay? Because you will then always be trying, it's like, trying to compete with a train which is always on track. If that's the life you choose, that's absolutely okay. That's not the life that I wanted to choose for myself, right? So I think it's very important that when you are trying to keep pace, make sure that you are not trying to keep pace for yourself as a founder. Keep pace for your customer, right? So just because, oh my God, Shan has got 200 million followers or 200 followers, I need to do the same. But Shan is catering to a different audience, right? I'm catering to a different audience. Does my audience want what Shan is doing? Maybe not. What does my audience want? So whether you're in the food space, whether you're in the personal gifting space, whatever space you are in, the community space, what does your customer want? Try and stay ahead of not competition, but your customer's needs. I think that will make sure that you are timeless.
That's great. Thank you for that. So you spoke about community, you spoke about engagement. Community is a very big thing for me, and I tell all my clients this as well. Don't just think if you're not building a community, you shouldn't be building a community. Every brand should be building a community. So my question to you, what's going on behind us?
Just hoping they're secretly not putting that photo, but...
Okay, so how do, especially you, most of your your platform is all about your readers, it's all about someone reading it on the other side, and we keep hearing that how many people do you have visiting your platform, how many people you have clicking through an article or in the link. How do you actually foster your community and engagement within your community, and how important is it for you?
Community is everything, okay? But I would like to ask this question to everybody seated here. Where are you building that community? Yeah. How many of you are building your business communities on social media platforms? Come on, raise your hands, everybody. I think it'll be a full house.
Yeah, most people in this audience will be.
You are...
somewhere else, maybe we can...
Yeah, how many of you building on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and whatever ones that are there today? Okay. the biggest risk you're running is you're building your community on a rented audience. Okay? That audience is not, one, you don't know that audience. You know what the community wants to tell you. So, okay, there are women between 28 to 45, they live in, their interests are iPhone, this, that, whatever, right? That the community is giving you back feedback that they can advertise back to. If you don't own your customers' number, email address, you own nothing. You don't own the customer. So change that. Like, again, coming back to why I did Kidsstoppress and not Mansi, because I wanted to build a platform. Because today, more than these reach numbers, what I own is 500,000 email IDs and phone numbers in my inbox, in my storage, yeah, right? My newsletter service or WhatsApp or whatever. That is important. Because if you don't own your customer, you can't build a community. So that is number one, own your customer. And communities are again built, it can never be a one-way street. If you don't listen, like I was just chatting with Sheetal right there, and she was saying about NN, and she was saying that, you know, there are some 10 groups, and no matter what request is there, Shan and her team will get that request for us. That is the power of community. That is the community that she's fostering, right? So that's the, because she knows what she wants. There's a direct consumer, right? So make sure that every piece of community that you build, you're owning your audience, you are making sure that you're listening to your community. And sorry, is there anything else that you asked me?
No. No, so I want to also ask you, I was a follow-up question. So for a lot of people here that I think are in the stage of 0 to 4 stage of their business, how can they actually, do you suggest any one way they can build their community outside of a social platform? I know having your own website and stuff is one.
I would say today, even if you don't own a website and your default landing page is Instagram, that is absolutely okay. Please use the 4 links that Instagram creates. A cheap newsletter substitute, just start with like a Substack free subscription. You can just start it, put link in bio, direct the person there. You can have different API logins, which is again, like try and integrate WhatsApp. Just giving some statistics here. Email open rates are about 15%. WhatsApp open rates are close to 80 to 90%. If you send out, try and use the communities feature on WhatsApp. Again, I can give an example because I see Ravina in the audience. Could she have, for I Am Yogi Sattva, could she have people who enjoy, say, who always come back for a mango menu? Could she have mango lovers as one broadcast community? Could she have special days as, you know, like some, like Budh Purnima and you should be eating something. So, you know, how is that sort of connected? Spring detox could be another community. These people will recurringly come back to that sort of space, right? Likewise, Sheetal, could you have a community which would say back to school? And you know, these people typically order from me every May and June. Can I broadcast to them in May? Hey, these are my new designs. Come check them out. So try and build in through communities, WhatsApp, emails, try and have a default landing page. Today, your Instagram page is your visiting card, so make sure that it looks really sick. But make sure that you own your user in whatever way. Like through the DM, give them a freebie, give them a coupon code, give them whatever, like a free trial class, whatever it is, but get the damn email and phone number. That's it. Whatever you do, simple DMs, just do it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. I totally agree with each and every point. It's a change I've made and it works wonders, especially for owning your user. I know if that doesn't sound to this, but owning your user. My next question and topic is social media. You have a hell lot of followers on social media, and I'm sure it's taken you a long time to build that. I know the effort it takes. Everyone in this room knows what effort it takes here.
Sigh together.
Really. So I want to ask you is, what importance do you give marketing through social media? And if you could just take us through your process for any entrepreneur who's looking to grow their Instagram, their LinkedIn, their Facebook, mainly Instagram, because that's where your followers lie as well. You know, tell us more about your approach.
So again, the way I approach any social platform is, first of all, prioritize. Okay, so very early on, I understood, and listen, with the BlackBerry, I've already given my age. So I was like back in the Twitter phase where Twitter was Twitter and is not what it is today. I I decided I can't do Twitter because my audience, my community is not there. Let's deprioritize it, right? Or for that matter, Pinterest. Pinterest, everybody globally would tell you, oh my God, moms love Pinterest. Unfortunately, moms in India were not taking to Pinterest. I invested a lot of time and effort in it. And I said, nahi ho raha hai, yaar, koi nahi aa raha hai. Like, what's the point, right? So those two went down the drain. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to only focus on Instagram. I'm going to focus on Facebook back then and LinkedIn. These were my top 3 priorities. Facebook has now dropped the radar. I really wish I could give it more time, but unfortunately, if I have to prioritize one over the other, I will prioritize Instagram. Likewise, for each one of you, make sure that you know where your audience is spending maximum number of hours. If it is, and if you have the paucity of time, then definitely deprioritize, right? But make sure that you're then still owning your audience, right? So that's number one. Number two is that when you are looking at a social process, I think everybody will tell you that try and create a calendar which will be, these dates, this time, which in important days, etc., are coming. But more importantly, what is your consumer's timeline, right? And again, coming back to Sheetal's example, kids will go back to school in June. For her, that means back to school is not one particular day of the year like chocolate day or something else, but it's a cyclical pattern that follows, right? Like we know that the Diwali will come and this will come and that will come. So can you map the broader timelines out? Social media is something that you drive and it does not drive you, and it should not stress you out. How much ever it does actually stress us out. But the only way to escape the hamster wheel is to batch your content. And I keep harping on this is I record only once in 15 days. And sometimes if I have a client request, then maybe twice in 15 days. That's once a week. What I do is I now have a team who kind of filters out all the content that I shoot, need to write scripts, etc., which I will still go back and edit because I still feel that, as the way you want to say it is very different from how others may want to say it, right? And people follow you for who you are, for your authenticity, for the way you would speak as a mother or for the way you would speak as a business owner. So never, ever, no matter how big your team goes, lose that authenticity. So that is one. So we obviously work through all the scripts that we want basis that broad timeline that we have. Then we go back and, kind of at least have a broad idea of what's the look, feel that we want for that, for that sort of conversation or for that reel or for that picture, have some sort of referencing or mood board of what we want it to look like. And the third would be the process works is we use this app called Asana. I don't know how many of you all, if you all have worked
Someone's
with.
put their hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've heard me scream 100 times on Kidsstoppress, you know that I'm a huge fan of Asana, and we kind of templatize everything. So put all broad days out there, then we put on daily schedules and also refer it back, right? Because some things come back. Like I'll give you a simple example. This Sudha Murthy reel that she went on the Kapil Sharma show is trending, and how. Now we've recorded twice with her, and the minute something is put, like the minute we've finished that task, we actually put the Instagram link of that video back onto that task. Imagine how many of us have spent, "Arey yaar, wo reel mil nahi raha hai, wo reel mein," and we scroll through the entire feed. And imagine if we are posting 6 posts a day, how much does that scroll mean?
Yeah.
It may need that one person to do that dedicatedly, but just imagine the amount of time you can save if you put SOPs and standard operating principles and protocols in place to put that into play, right? Also commonly use, unique hashtags which are unique to you. So if you need to search back on some sort of content, you know that, okay, this is the hashtag I put and I will sort of get that back. And then, of course, we follow that, and then we just go shoot. If we have references or we have pre-approved templates that we use, I'm sure all of you guys must be using Canva for sure. Try and get that if you're not already using. Try and create a template for every kind of video that you may want to edit, because then that kind of makes the grid look in sync. Hop onto trends most definitely, because it just works. But the bigger thing that I will tell you guys is, and I think which often gets missed, is show up on stories. I think stories is a very, very underutilized feature.
Yes.
Show up on stories because it's you, okay, and they follow you for you, okay. Build habit forming content. I don't know how many of you guys follow me here, but I just post this simple, silly Apple Watch photo every single day of my workout. I started it to motivate myself to make sure that I work out every day. And now I get like 6 a.m. DMs that shit, I got out of bed because of you. So, and people are so used to seeing, अरे आज ये इन्होंने ये post नहीं किया है. Or if we sometimes, in the morning at 9 a.m. we post something like a funny quote. If we've not posted it and somebody is just fallen asleep, so we obviously schedule, but if the scheduler has not worked for some vague reason, we actually get DMs, hey, you haven't posted this. Where is your morning post? Can you build in habit forming content into your feed somewhere, like every day at this hour? Because people, again, they're following you for you. Don't just ever forget that.
Yeah. Great advice. Thank you for that. I think great tips for everyone to take back and kind of and especially this last one I'm going to take and try for the community. My next question is something I really enjoy, which is journaling, and I know you do as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your process in terms of journaling and how it's helped you?
So honestly, I have, I'm somebody who's journaled since I was in grade 7, when journaling wasn't even a concept, right? Or at least I wasn't aware of it back then that I was actually journaling. That time I used to obviously write how was my day and what happened, and this one did this and this one did this, and I wasn't chosen as a house captain and whatever bothered me back then, right? But today the process is very simple, that you just, when you wake up in the morning, try and I know we all lead a very busy life, but if you just take out that 15 minutes in the morning, which is like your time zone, to just put everything that's important to you and what you feel the energy for, right? Like, okay, no matter how much I plan that, okay, I'm going to do this today, but if I wake up with a different sort of creative energy, and my team will go crazy because they'll know, oh my God, she's woken up with a different energy today. We've got 100 ideas floating and we need to execute that. Your team also gets scared.
No,
of
yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
But it just happens. You wake up with a different sort of energy. And, I don't do any to-do lists. I just, the easiest way to, and I combine to-do lists with journaling because I don't have a to-do list, because you can only prioritize to do 2 or 3 things in a day. Those are your broad priorities. Please differentiate between priorities and tasks. They're 2 separate things. So my priority today was to say close client X, right? And give them the best pitch. That was my priority. My task was, okay, make sure that the visa guy has come, make sure papers are filled, make sure daughters, this is ordered, this is done, this video is, those are tasks. That's not my priority. Those tasks will happen. When you have checked, when you have 100 things that you write and then only 5 are checkbox, that dukh and that disappointment and that feeling of inadequacy, it's like, I'm not supposed to curse on the but okay. But it just kind of demotivate you, right?
Yeah.
So journaling, just write down top 3 things that are extremely important to you, and 3 things that you're extremely grateful for. Because when you're in a place of gratitude, you will never be sad. Like, people just ask me, why do you keep feeling happy every day? Like, for what's the reason? I say, I don't need a reason to feel happy. I just have so much. I'm just so grateful. Right? So just remember this. Just write down those 2 or 3 things that you're extremely grateful. It could be as easy as, wow, I had the best sleep ever. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm just so grateful that I'm speaking up here today. Right? Like, I don't know who messaged me and said, oh my God, I know you from when, and I'm so happy to come and listen to you. You've had a long journey. I did write that down because for me that was important.
Awesome. Thank you. And my last question to you before we end this session is, a lot of people here could actually benefit from the Kidsstoppress community, and I know this question will come to me after you leave. So I'm asking it on a platform where everyone can listen. How does one collaborate with Kidsstoppress? How does one get featured? Second part is, how does one apply to your awards? I attended your awards this year and they were fabulous. And I would love to see so many Networking Now members be just a part of the whole vibe. The award, that evening was just lovely. So just take us through.
Collaborate is very easy. Just either drop us a DM on Instagram or just write to us at business@kidsstoppress.com. It's all available on the website and on our Instagram handle. To be part of awards, you just have to make sure that you keep an eye on our Instagram page, because as the nominations are announced, we actually ask users to nominate their favorite brands. So it's never a bias that, okay, I don't know this brand or this one doesn't know, or how did this person get nominated. The power of awards lies with the user. So I think that kind of sums it up. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, awesome. So thank you, Mansi. It was lovely chatting with you. And for me to finally, we're doing this. I think we have Urmi in the audience who's just waited to see this. She's manifested us chatting with each other. So a big, big thank you. And for everyone that wants to be in touch with Kidsstoppress, you know what to do. And we'll take a short break. I'll hand it over to Varun. But Mansi, something small from the community for you. You will enjoy it. Tender Skin is one of our partners. They have a stall here as well. And Beauty Eats is in the audience, Priyanka. So enjoy. And thank you so much for doing this. I'm sure everyone enjoyed watching you.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kidsstoppress now.